What if the next argument with your teen didn't have to turn into a full-blown fight? What if you could stay steady, hold the boundary, and actually come back to connection? Today, I'm going to show you how. Listen in. Welcome to the Single Parenting Reset Show, the go-to podcast for single parents of tweens and teens who want to manage screen time, strengthen communication, and build stronger family connections. I'm your host, Tess Connolly, parent and family coach, licensed clinical social worker, and a solo mom to a teenage son. Hi, and welcome back to the Single Parenting Reset Show. I'm Tess Connolly, LCSW, parent and family coach, and this is the space for single parents of tweens and teens who are doing the hard, beautiful, messy work of raising kids mostly on their own. And today we are talking about something I hear all the time from parents: the arguing, the back and forth, the eye rolls, and the you never listen, the door slams, the tone, the attitude, the way one small comment can turn suddenly into a 30-minute conflict that leaves everyone exhausted. And if you are a single parent, this can feel especially draining because there is often not another adult standing next to you who can help out or support you. You are the only one holding the limit. You are the one absorbing the reaction, and you are the one trying to stay calm when your child knows exactly how to push your buttons that only they know how to push. So today, I want to help you step out of the argument loop, not by becoming permissive, not by letting your teen run the house, and not by pretending disrespect is okay, but by learning to stay in your role as the parent, as the guide, as the coach, without getting pulled into every emotional tug of war. Here's what you're going to walk away with today. Number one, why teens argue, push back, and escalate so quickly. Number two, the communication shift that helps stop conflict before it gets bigger. And number three practical tools that you can use this week when things start to heat up. So let's get into it. First, I want you to take a breath and hear this clearly. Your teen is not arguing with you because they hate you. I know it can feel that way in the moment when they roll their eyes, they talk back, they slam the door, or act like you are the most unreasonable person on the planet. It can feel deeply personal. But a lot of what you're seeing is developmental. Your teen is in a stage of life where they are trying to separate, form their own identity, have more control, make more choices, and be seen as their own person. At the very same time, the part of the brain that helps with impulse control, reasoning, planning, empathy, and emotional regulation is still developing into their mid-20s. So your teen may want independence, but not always have the maturity to manage it well. They may want to be respected, but not always speak respectfully. They may want control, but not always make choices that show they are ready for all of the control that they are asking for. That is the tension of adolescence. One foot is still in childhood, and the other foot is trying to step into adulthood. And you, as the parent, are often standing right in the middle of that tension. So when your teen argues, it is often not really about the hoodie on the floor or the homework or the phone or the curfew. It is often about, do I have any control here? Are you listening to me? Do I matter? Can I push against you and still be loved? Will you stay steady? Will you disappear emotionally? Will you become scary? Will you give up? And will you come back? And this is especially important in single parent homes because when there is one main parent carrying so much of the day-to-day, the relationship can become very intense. You may be the safe person. You may be the limit setter. You may be the person they unload on. You may be the person that they test the most. So we know that that's very common. That does not mean you are doing it wrong. It may mean you are the person they trust enough to show the messy parts to. So the first shift is this: depersonalize the moment. Before you respond, remind yourself, this is not an attack. This is a developing nervous system. This is a teen trying to have power and connection at the same time. This is my cue to stay in my role. That does not mean that you ignore disrespect. It means you do not hand your nervous system over to your teen. You do not have to match their intensity to prove that you are in charge. You can stay steady and still be the parent leader. Now, let's talk about what starts a lot of arguments with teens. It is usually not just the topic or whatever's happening at that moment. It is the timing. Most parents try to have important conversations at the exact wrong time, right when your teen walks in the door, right when you discover the missing assignment, right when you see the messy room, right when they are already defensive, and right when you are already exhausted. And also, it happens often when everyone is hungry, tired, overstimulated, or rushed. And in that moment, your teen's brain is not open for learning. A dysregulated teen cannot receive information well. They cannot reflect well. They cannot problem solve well. They can usually only defend, deny, argue, or shut down. And honestly, the same is true for us as parents as well. When we are activated, we are usually not at our best either. That is why one of the most important parenting shifts is connection before correction. And I know this phrase can be misunderstood, and I have often used it. So I want to be clear. Connection before correction or setting a limit does not mean that you never correct your child. It does not mean you avoid boundaries. It does not mean that your teen gets to speak to you however they want. It means you understand that your child is more likely to hear you when they feel emotionally safe to listen. So instead of launching in with, we need to talk about your attitude, or I cannot believe you spoke to me like that, or maybe you've said, you are not getting your phone until you learn some respect. I know there's many parents that have said that. I know I have said that. You might say instead, I want to talk about what happened, but I don't think either of us is in the best place to do that right now. Let's come back to this in a little bit. Or you can say, I care about this too much to turn into a fight. Or I'm going to take a minute and then I'll come back and figure this out. That is not backing down. That is leadership. That is you saying, I am not going to let this conversation become a fire just because both of us are standing next to the matches. And when you do come back, you open with curiosity before correction. So that might sound like, help me understand what was going on for you earlier. Or what felt unfair to you in that moment. Or something like, here's what I noticed, and I want to understand your side before I respond. That kind of language lowers the threat level. And when the threat level goes down, your teen's ability to listen often goes up. Again, this does not mean that you agree with everything they say. It means you are trying to understand before you lead, because the best parenting skill is not the perfect consequence. It is the relationship that you have with your child. That relationship is the foundation. The scripts can help, and setting boundaries can definitely help. Different strategies and tools can help. But what your child carries into adulthood is the experience of what conflict felt like with you. Could you stay steady? Can you repair? Can you listen? Can you lead without shaming? And can you hold a boundary without disconnecting? That is the work. Now, I want to give you 3 practical tools that you can start using right away. These are simple. They are not always easy, but they are doable. Number 1 is the pause protocol. This is what you use when you feel the argument starting to escalate. Your teen is getting louder. You are getting louder. Nobody is listening. Everyone is trying to win. That is your cue to pause. So you can say something like, I care about this conversation too much to have it like this. Or you could say, I'm not going to argue with you, but I am going to come back to this. Or you might say, we're both getting heated. I'm taking a pause and we'll talk about this later. Then you actually step away, not with a slam door, not with sarcasm, not with silent treatment, but with intention. You are modeling emotional regulation to your teen. And here's the important part. You need to come back. The pause is not avoidance. The pause is not giving up. The pause is not pretending that it didn't happen. The pause is creating enough space for both nervous systems to settle down. So for many families, 20 minutes at least. Let me just say that again, okay? For many families, 20 minutes is a good minimum. Sometimes it needs to be longer. You might say, we're going to pause this for now and we'll come back to it after dinner. Or you could say, I'm going to take the dog for a quick walk and then we'll talk. Or you could say, I want us both to cool down and I promise we will come back to this. That last part really matters because some teens experience a parent walking away as a rejection or abandonment. So when you say, I'm taking a pause and I'm coming back, you are giving structure and reassurance. You are saying, I'm not disappearing. I am not escalating. I am staying in relationship. The second tool is the 2-question reset. This is for when you are ready to come back to the conversation. Most of us come back with a lecture, ready to go. We have it. We come back with all the points we did not get to make. We come back ready to prove why we were right. But if your goal is to stop arguing, you want to begin differently. You start with 2 questions. Question 1, what did you need from me in that moment that you felt like you weren't getting? And question 2, what would it look like if this went better for both of us next time? Now, I know that some of you are thinking, hey, Tess, my teen is going to say, I needed you to leave me alone and give me my phone back. Maybe. That can definitely happen. And that is okay. You are not asking because your teen gets the final say. You are asking because you are gathering information. You are teaching reflection. You are helping them put words to what happened inside of them. So if your teen says, I needed you to stop asking me about homework, you might say, okay, I hear that. You felt overwhelmed and pushed, and I still need to make sure school responsibilities are being handled. So let's figure out a better way to check in. That is the balance. You validate the feeling without abandoning the expectation. So you can say, I understand you felt frustrated, and it is still not okay for you to speak to me in that way. Or, I hear that you felt cornered, and we still need to talk about the curfew. Or you could say, I get that you wanted more privacy, and I still need to know where you are for safety reasons. That is where parents sometimes get stuck. They think validation means agreement with them. It does not. Validation means I am trying to understand your experience. The boundary means I am still the parent. Both can exist at the same time. Hi, dear ones. I'm taking a break out of this episode to give you an opportunity to come join the family. What I mean is that when you join my email list, you are not only going to get a copy of my tech reset agreement, which is one of the most coveted pieces of information that I give out to parents when I start working with them. In every family, I hear about the conflict with our screen time and devices. And I've got an amazing agreement I've been using with my son since he was about 8 or 9 years old. So I'd love for you to get that, as well as being on my email list, where you're going to get tips and strategies and stories each week. You'll hear about all the different podcasts, and it's a way for us to connect in a different way outside of this podcast. So click the link right below the show notes, and I will see you on the inside. The third tool is a family communication agreement. This is a simple agreement that you can create with your teen about how conflict will happen in your home. Not if conflict happens, when conflict happens, because every family has conflict. The goal is not to create a home where nobody ever gets upset. The goal is to create a home where people know how to come back, repair, and talk again. So a family communication agreement might include things like, we agree to take a break before we start yelling and calling names or anything that was significantly disrespectful. We agree to say, I need a minute instead of storming out. We agree not to name call We agree not to follow someone around the house when they ask for space, whether that's a teen or a parent. We agree to come back to hard conversations within 24 hours. We agree that repair matters more than winning the argument. And here is the key. You create this with your teen. You do not hand it down like a contract from the principal's office. You might say, I don't like how we've been arguing lately. I don't think it feels good for either of us. I want us to come up with a better way to handle conflict in our home. Then ask, what do you think makes our arguments worse? And what would help both of us do this better? Your teen may shrug. They may also roll their eyes and they may say, I don't know. They may act like they do not care. That is okay. You are still planting the seed. You can offer a few options and say, would any of these help? Then choose 2 or 3 simple agreements. Do not make it complicated. Do not create 20 rules here at all. Start with a few, like just 2 or 3 that you can actually practice. So, for example, number 1, either person can call a pause. That's reasonable. Number 2, no name calling or swearing. That's actually a rule that we have in our home. And number 3, we can come back and repair within 24 hours, within a day. That is enough to start. And when the next argument happens, you now have something to return to, not as a weapon, not as, see, you broke the agreement, but as a shared reset. So you might say, remember, we agreed either of us can call a pause. I'm calling one now. Or we agreed we would come back within 24 hours. I want to do that right now. This builds trust. It tells your teen, we are not just a family that fights. We are a family that repairs. That is important. Let me give you a quick example of how this might look. Let's say your teen comes home, drops their backpack in the middle of the floor, grabs a snack, and heads straight for their phone. A very common experience with teens. You say, did you finish your missing assignments? And then they say, oh my gosh, can you not start with this the second I walk in the door? You feel your body tense up. You want to say, excuse me, don't talk to me like that. And maybe that is true. But instead of entering the argument, you can pause and you can say, I'm not going to do this as a fight. I do want to talk about school, but I can see now is not the moment. Take a little time and we'll come back to it after dinner. Later, when things are calmer, you say, earlier, when I asked you about school, you got really frustrated. Help me understand what happened for you. What was going on at that time? And they might say, you always come at me the second I get home. And instead of defending yourself right away, you say, okay, I get it. That makes sense. You want a little space when you first walk in. I can work on that. Then you hold the boundary. And we still need a plan for how schoolwork gets checked in on. Would it work better if I ask you after dinner instead of right when you get home? That is the shift. You are not giving up on the boundary about school. You are not letting disrespect slide. You are changing the way the conversation happens. So your teen has a better chance of staying in it with you. That is what it means to move from reactive parent to a guide and coach approach. You are not trying to control every reaction. You are guiding the process. So let's bring this home. Today, we talked about how to stop arguing with your teen, or at least how to stop getting pulled into the same argument loop over and over again. Here are the 3 things I want you to remember. Number 1, your teen's arguing is often developmental. It is not always personal. They are trying to become their own person, and they do not always have the emotional regulation to do that gracefully. So, depersonalize the moment. Number 2, connection comes before correction. That does not mean that you avoid boundaries. It means you choose the moment, lower the threat level, and help your teen become more able to hear you. And number 3, use practical tools. We talked about the pause protocol and the 2-question reset and the family communication agreement. that helps your home become a place where conflict can be repaired. And I want you to remember this. You are not failing because your house gets loud sometimes. You are raising a tween or teen. There will be conflict. There will be hard moments. There will be conversations that do not go the way that you hoped. But your goal is not perfection. The goal is repair. Your goal is steadiness. Your goal is to keep building the relationship even when things get hard, because the best parenting skill is already inside you. It is the relationship that you have with your child. Yes, strategies help, and yes, scripts and examples can help, and boundaries do matter. But what your child carries with them into adulthood is the experience of your relationship with them, how conflict felt, how repair happened, whether they felt like you could stay connected even when things were messy. And if this is something that you are struggling with in your own home right now, you do not have to figure it out alone. You can join the family through the link in the show notes where I share more support for single parents raising tweens and teens. And if you are ready for more personal support, you can also book a parent reset strategy session with me. That is where we look at what is happening in your home right now, what patterns are keeping you stuck, and what next steps will help you to reconnect with your child while still holding the boundaries that matter. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time on the Single Parenting Reset Show. Thanks for tuning into the Single Parenting Reset Show. Remember, I'm here with you twice a week. Every Tuesday, I answer your questions about parenting tweens and teens, real-life challenges with real reset strategies. Every Thursday, I bring you conversations with experts and guests who get what it's like to raise middle and high school kids on your own. And hey, if screen time has become a daily battle in your home, because let's be real, it is for most of us, I've got something to help. Grab my Tech Reset Agreement. It's a simple guide to help you create a clear, calm plan around screens without being the screen time police. Just click the link in the show notes and get your copy. Your reset starts now. Until next time, keep going. You're not doing this alone. I'm right here alongside you.